Hello, in this short video I want to walk through some of the things that we've released in the 0.12.0 version of the Chocolatey CLI. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that, as you can see in the release notes here, this is a release of Chocolatey CLI that if you're using the Chocolatey license extension, you will have to increase the installed version of the Chocolatey license extension as well. The reason for that is that we've added a new command within Chocolatey CLI. So in order for that to be understood and be able to be used within the Chocolatey license extension, you need to increase the version of both of them. So there is a warning there about that. The other one is that there is a breaking change in this release in that we've removed the scripts check last exit code feature. Now we've marked it as a breaking change because we're removing a piece of functionality that exists in Chocolatey, but it is a piece of functionality that was added in quite a few years ago to cover a change that was made, and it was essentially a fallback to how things used to work. But the intention was always to remove the feature after a period of time. So that period of time has elapsed. So as a result, like I say, we're removing that feature. If you run into any issues around that, definitely feel free to reach out. But we don't think that anyone's going to be impacted by it. But we have to mark it as a breaking change because, like I say, we are removing a piece of functionality. The next thing I wanted to call out was a couple of features that we've added in. Now, a lot of the features, bug fixes, and improvements in this release have come from a community member, and that is the Cake is a Lie on GitHub. He's been working tirelessly in terms of trying to get Chocolatey to work under a Linux environment because that's his daily driver, and he wants certain pieces of functionality to work in that context. So there's a lot of bug fixes, improvements in that area, and they're all thanks to him. For example, this one came from the Cake is a Lie. So we've added a new feature, a new command, and that is the Choco template command. So you can find the help documentation for that as you can with other commands. The need for this feature or this command comes from the Choco new command. So, as hopefully you'll know, when you're creating a new Chocolatey package, you can create, let's just create one here called default package. Now, when you run the default package template, what you'll get is there's lots of files here. There's a new spec file, there's a Chocolatey install, a before modify, an uninstall, a license text, a readme, a to-do text, all these files. Now, what we're trying to do within that default template is give you all the information that you need for creating a Chocolatey package. But if you kind of know what you're doing, you can either create your own template, so only scaffold out the files that you really want to be included within the new package that you're creating, or you can create or use, some of the pre-existing templates that are already out there. So for example, if I run the Choco template list command, you'll see that I've already got the zip template installed. So the idea behind the zip template is that I can construct a package where it doesn't have some of the things that I need that are included in the default template. So, for example, the to-do.txt or the Chocolatey install.ps1 has lots of information in it in the default template. So if I go over here and have a look at that and look in my packages folder and look at this default template package that was created, then this Chocolatey install.ps1 has lots of information in it because it's trying to inform you of all the different ways that you can create a Chocolatey package, whether it's an exe, whether it's an MSI, whether it's a zip file, whether it's whatever. There's lots of information in there to help you or lead you down the path of success in terms of creating a Chocolatey package. But if I'm just creating a package that downloads and installs a zip file, then I don't need some of that information. And that's where the zip template comes from. You can also do, for example, the Choco install the MSI.template, and that will give me another template package that is geared towards creating a Chocolatey package that just installs an MSI. Now, like I say, equally, you can create your own template packages. These are just the two that are out there at the minute on the Chocolatey repository. So if I come up here again and do template list, you'll now see that I've got two templates installed. So if I were to then do Choco new zip package, passing in the template of zip, then again it'll scaffold me out the files that I need. But the difference here, if I go up to that zip package and look at its chocolatey install.ps1, then it's going to be a much more trimmed down version of that file because it's only got the things that pertain directly to the installation of a zip file. Obviously, there are the things that you need to fill in, the checksums, the exact location to where you're pulling the file from, etc. But you have the main parts of the install script already stubbed out for you without the need to change or delete all of the other steps contained within it. So that's what that is. The other thing that was on the release notes is, well, what if I want to always use the zip template? So at the minute, in order to use that, I had to do --template zip. But what I can do is I can do choco config set default template name. I'm going to spell that right so it works. And I'm going to say zip there. So what that will do is it will set a configuration option, which is zip file. So now if I do choco new zip package 2, this time I'm not going to pass in the --template argument, but this time round I still use that template because I've configured that as my default one. So you've got the options of doing it with a configuration value or specifying the template name that you want to use and falling back to the default one when you need to. So there's lots of options in there. And like I say, this was very much driven by the Cake is a Lie, who does most of his package creation and package pushing on his Linux system. So he wanted the flexibility to be able to use a template, switch a template, etc., as and when he needed it. So that's where all of those things have come from. If we jump back to release notes, if we go through some of the bug fixes, as you'll see, I'll make this just a little bit bigger so that we can read it all. There was a fix which is building a package on Linux fails if the description has encoded XML characters. There was an edge case in there where if you haven't encoded and certain strings within certain characters within the XML new spec file, it caused an error when you tried to run Choco Pack. The Cake is a Lie found that problem and fixed it as well. He sent a PR in to fix that. Building a package on Linux fails if the new specs does not have a files element. So on Windows, if you don't need a files element because it just steps over it and creates it happily. But on Linux, there was a specific error that if you didn't have that, it failed. So again, the Cake is a Lie found and fixed that problem. Choco Pack command fails on a non-Windows system when the new nupkeg already exists. So if you run Choco Pack and created the package, but then you found, oh, it wasn't quite right, I'm going to change it, I'm going to run Choco Pack again. If the nupkeg was already there, it would throw an error specifically on Linux. He found and he fixed that problem. Install location is invalid on Linux if the Choco install environment variable is not set. So what that's speaking about is there is a Chocolatey install environment variable that we set at the point of installation, and we then use that environment variable for other things within Chocolatey execution. So if that isn't set on Linux correctly, then bad things happen. Again, he was able to find that out and fix that for us. During upgrade, removal of old Choco.exe does not use an absolute path on Linux. So the problem there, obviously, is when you're doing an upgrade, it can't find that that old Choco.exe, so it can't remove it correctly, and then it stays in the file system. So again, found and fixed that. I'm not showing you a lot of these because obviously I'm not on a Linux machine, so I can't show you them, but hopefully they're fairly self-explanatory in terms of what they're doing. Attempting to use protected data.protect with local machine scope fails when on a non-Windows system as a non-root user. So the protected data.protect methods are used in order to encrypt certain things in the Chocolatey config file, and that was failing under a Linux environment, and he was able to find and fix that again. Chocolatey packaging script, Chocolatey before modify PS1 incorrectly running on non-Windows platforms. So that issue was that there was a edge case where the Chocolatey before modify.ps1 file would run when it wasn't meant to. The before modify script is only meant to run during an upgrade and an uninstall, not during an install. I think the problem there was it was running all the time when it wasn't meant to. Choco install command ignores install arguments when specifying direct path to nupkeg. I don't actually remember exactly what that was, so maybe let's just take a quick look in here and look at the pull request. Oh, I remember this one now. If looking at the files changed, there was what the CLI found was that there was the code was incorrect. So here we are doing an if statement to say if the package name is equal to package, but then we're using package name rather than package in order to do the remaining checks, and as a result of that we had to flip them over in order for it to correctly assert against the one that we're interrogating, to make it so that in that situation things worked as expected. Deleting NuGet temp folders fails when running on Linux. I think I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, that one was to do with the fact that we were attempting to delete files, but we were using the wrong file separator. So we're using the backslash rather than a forward slash, and it was causing it to fail on a Linux machine, but again, obviously not on a Windows machine. Improvements. Warn about unsupported packages when running in non-Windows. So again, while you can run Chocolatey on Linux, there's certain things that are just not expected to work. So if you try and do Choco install Visual Studio, that's not going to work, right? Because, well, you're trying to install what is a Windows application on a Linux machine, and that's unlikely to work. There are folks out there who will say, oh, under this scenario it'll work, etc., but those are edge cases. The default is that that's not expected to work on a Linux machine. So what the CLI added in was some warnings around if you're installing certain package types. Then we'll warn to say, in this scenario, this is not going to work. I.e., if you're trying to run a Chocolatey package, which ultimately runs a PowerShell script, that's not going to work. And we warn about that at the point of installation when running on a non-Windows system. Display the install location for a purely portable package. This is an improvement to what we output during a Chocolatey install command. So when you run choco install git.portable, we tend to, or previously we would just output that the work was completed. But what the CLI added here is that when you run that, we'll then output that this package has been installed to this packages folder. So if we go up to, say, C, I don't have it here, program data, and then Chocolatey, and then the lib folder, then in the case of a purely portable package that all it's doing is taking the Chocolatey nupkeg and extracting the contents, then what we'll output now is that it's output and installed it to the package folder. So it's trying to make it more clear about where the files have been dropped onto the file system. That's what was going on with that one. Provide more clarity on errors when attempting to push Chocolatey packages to the Chocolatey community repository. Now, there are scenarios when you're doing a Choco push to the CCR that there is a package that already exists, and you're pushing the same package version again and it causes an error. There are scenarios where you are pushing a package that's the existing package version is already in package moderation, so you're not allowed to push other packages. There are other scenarios when just things go wrong. So what this was an attempt at was this issue is an attempt, or this improvement is an attempt to improve the messaging that comes back on the Choco CLI so that you get better messages about things that have gone wrong. So one of the driving forces behind this was that if you create a Chocolatey package where the description in the new spec file is greater than 4,000 characters, then that will fail because we don't allow descriptions greater than 4,000 characters in CCR. Now, when you did that before this, you would get an error message that basically said, oh, the package already exists, try pushing again. That's not actually what was happening. What was happening was their CCR was reporting an error back to Chocolatey CLI that says the description field is longer than 4,000 characters, but we weren't displaying it. So what this was an attempt at is to make that messaging clearer so that the end user knows what's going on. So hopefully that will help. Support empty directories within Chocolatey template folder. So what this one was, if we look at one of the templates that we installed earlier, so they're stored within this templates folder, zip, and tools, then that tools folder has stuff in it. But if you wanted to create a template where you wanted to have by default another folder in here called Bob, doesn't really matter what the name is, but you didn't actually have anything in it, then by default, that folder would be ignored at the point of creating that template, because by default there's nothing in it. The template creation would ignore it. But there was an edge case. The issue was submitted by another community maintainer. So there was no reason for not to do it. So again, the Cake is a Lie added support for that in this release. Snapshotting of files and config transforms has been enabled on non-Windows systems. This is the Cake is a Lie show at this point, but the Cake is a Lie noted that there was a certain point in the Chocolatey execution where we attempt to run snapshotting of files and config transforms in order to know what's happened at the point during the installation of the package. And we were running that only on Windows systems, and rather not on non-Windows systems. But what he found was that there was no reason to not run it on non-Windows systems, so we've enabled it. Improved response message regarding moderation times when using the Choco push command. So when you run Choco push, you get an output to the window that basically says all packages that are pushed to Chocolate Community Repository are subject to moderation. And we had in there some messaging around, well, how long you could expect that moderation to take. And we weren't clear on the realistic expectation for when a package is moderated. While we do our best to keep that moderation process quick and always rotating around, etc., it is mainly driven by volunteer maintainers or moderators, and sometimes life gets in the way, and sometimes a queue gets created on the community repository. So the messaging that we were putting into the Choco push command didn't reflect reality. So to rather than set unrealistic expectations, we've changed the messaging so it's clearer on what folks can expect that are pushing packages to the community repository. So that was that. That's all the improvements, I think. And like I say, big thanks to the Cake is a Lie for all the work he's put in this release, because it's simply amazing. There was a couple of documentation things. There was usage in the documentation of bit.ly links. That's now been switched over to use our own ch0.co shortened links, which we now then directly control. So again, just to provide more. So basically what we're saying is we've then got direct control of those short links. So if things change and they need to be redirected, we've got direct control over that. So that's what we're doing there. Update default template regarding building Chocolatey packages on non-Windows systems. The messaging there was just simply, with all the work that the Cake is a Lie has been doing in this release, there was some messaging in the default template that said, if you're running this package on a Linux machine, you might need to handle path separators and make sure that they're all the right way around. With all of the changes that have been put in this, that's no longer the case, because we handle that correctly within Chocolatey. So the messaging has been improved there. And this documentation change came from another community maintainer or community contributor, and that was Kevinar. And that was for fixing the version number in the default template. So one of the features that Kevinar had previously added incorrectly said that this feature was added in this version, and he corrected that to make it actually make sense. So that's it. I wasn't able to show a lot of those things, but mainly because a lot of them were based on Linux side of the fence. But that was it. So that was the 0.12.0 release of Chocolatey CLI. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. But for now, thank you very much. That's all I've got.